Hey everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday. Super excited to be doing this live this evening. We got a special guest speaker, which I actually got the pleasure of meeting. Hi guys. Through Instagram. So that's just the power of social media. Somebody that I didn't even know. And now we're just kind of connected. So I'm excited to have this young lady on live today. Hi, my friend. Let me go ahead and send a request. We can get this started. All right.
Hi,
There
can you
she
hear me?
is. I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. How are you today?
I'm finding you.
I'm well. I can't complain. Thank you for asking.
Let me see.
So,
Let's see if
I
it.
was just kind of giving a backstory, and I was just saying the power of social media because we never met in person before. We met
Right, right.
on social media, so I was just saying I'm
Mhm.
excited, to be doing a live with you and kind of just giving them the backstory of how we met and just the power of social media.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. And so, for those of you all who don't know me, my name is Ebony. I am the founder of Can I Grieve, which is a brand that I launched last year. And the purpose of the brand is to inspire, encourage, and educate people to rise above grief. And so I do different lives from time to time, just allowing people to share their story and just kind of provide some insight to the grief journey, the grief process. Just share some information that can be helpful. And so, with that, I want you to kind of go ahead and introduce yourself, let everybody know, about what you got going on, your brand, and then we'll kind of get into the conversation.
Sounds like a plan. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Crasticia, and I am a grief coach. I go by the Mature Coach. I started my grief coaching journey, I'll say a little over 6 months now. Um, I really decided to get into this through personal experience, and so far so good. It's really been it's actually have helped me through my grief journey. Actually, being able to help others talk to others and get through it with them is actually helping me along my journey myself.
I believe that's pretty accurate, without even knowing. Just because it's like power in sharing your story, power in your testimonial, and just I find even with talking to people, it's like healing, like self
Hmm.
healing. So
Right.
I'm there with you on that. All right. So you explained to them how you kind of became a grief coach, but if you don't mind just kind of sharing your personal loss, and you don't have to go into details if you don't want to, but just so we can kind of get an understanding of what actually pushed you to become a grief coach.
Okay, so July 2019, I lost my brother. He was my only sibling. We were really close, and through the beginning of the process, I was really kind of, I would say, in denial, so to speak, because I was too busy trying to be my mom's backbone, trying to be my daughter's backbone, trying to just be the strength that I knew. Well, I'm not going to say the strength that I knew. I was actually trying to be the strength everybody else wanted me to be. And so by the time I was able to actually get time to myself and get alone with my own thoughts, grief hit me, and it hit me hard. And it really took me into a dark place. I was really depressed. I was really going through it. Um, I didn't seek counseling. I didn't think I was ready for it. And so when I when I made up my mind to say, hey, I want to go to counseling, COVID hit, so the world shut down. So I wasn't able to get the help that I thought I needed. So I basically just had to dive in and research and heal myself. And so throughout that process and throughout that journey, it just really made me feel as though I was able to and will be able to help others.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what's something that you want people to know about grief?
First and foremost, I really, really need everyone to understand that everyone's grief journey is different. Everyone is gonna everyone is gonna feel a different way. Every emotion that you're feeling is gonna be a different emotion from someone else's. And everyone's timeline is different.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put a timeline on your grief. You can't put a timeline on someone else's grief.
So
You
true.
have to allow everyone that is grieving to go through the process on their own to
Mm-hmm.
actually understand what they're feeling. And I don't really want to say that you have to leave them alone, but a lot of times a lot of people want to be alone when they're grieving, and a lot of times people don't. and i
Yeah.
know and I know a lot of times when we are dealing with someone that's grieving, we don't know what to say and we don't know how to react to it. And a lot of times people don't know that sometimes if you just sit with them quietly, that's enough for them. It's just being there, being in their presence, just letting them know that you're there, even if you don't know what to say, even if you don't have anything to say. Just being there for them is enough.
And I'm so glad that you said something along the lines of, don't quote me, that people don't know, how to like be there for someone who is
Right.
grieving.
Uh-huh.
Because my next question was, do you think that society contributes to us not knowing, as people, how to be supportive of people, or just how to
Of course.
acknowledge and deal with grief in general?
Of course. I do believe society plays a big role on how we communicate with others that are grieving or how we grieve ourselves.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel as though society has it to where, especially, I don't know if I can say this, but let me just say this, us as Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Society has us to the point where we feel as though we always have to be strong and we always have to show strength. And if we're
Yeah.
showing weakness, then we're weak or we're not good enough. And so we hide the pain and we hide the emotions and we hide everything that we're going through because we're taught to be strong and only show strength.
Right.
And hiding that pain and covering up the weakness and the sadness, all you're doing is just making yourself a ticking time bomb to explode.
Definitely, because if you don't deal with it, eventually
Right.
it will succumb you. I think that's the word I'm trying to say. It'll take
Right.
over you, at
Exactly.
a
Right.
certain point.
You have to go
Because
through it to get through it. You have to go through
absolutely.
each emotion. You have to feel it. You have to let those
Mhm.
tears out. You have to cry. You have to be angry. You have to be mad. You have to be confused. Every emotion, you have to hit every emotion
Yeah.
in order to get through it. You have to.
That's true. And I always tell people, like, I think, like, because society as a whole, they don't know how to deal with grief. I think people always thinks that, you have to be sad. Or I was listening to
Hmm.
an interview or a live the other day, and it was like, people, like, if you're happy, like, let's say it just happened maybe like a month ago, or maybe like even a year ago, when they
Hmm.
see someone smiling, that lost someone close to them, it's kind of like, what you happy for, or why you
Right.
smiling for?
Uh-huh.
Not, because they don't know what that's like, what that process is like, and they don't know that it's okay to smile, through your pain, or that you have to keep going. So I
Right.
love that you said you have to go through all those emotions, because it's true. And for me personally, I can't afford to be depressed and sitting around sad every single day, nor do I want to,
Right.
so I channel that energy through prayer, but whenever I have a moment, I'm going to have my moment. I don't care where I'm at, like
Exactly.
it could be
Yes.
Christmas morning. Yes, that's supposed to be a good time, but if I'm having a moment, I'm having a moment, so you definitely have to acknowledge it, because like we said, if you don't, then eventually it will come a time and it will kind of take over you. So,
Exactly.
and it's unhealthy.
It's a good thing that you mentioned, even though it wasn't the focal point, but you said Christmas morning. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't understand that holidays are triggers,
Yeah.
especially if you lost someone that's close to you, a parent, a sibling,
Mm-hmm.
a grandparent, a best friend, people that you spend these holidays with.
Yes.
So especially on holidays, that it's
Yeah.
a trigger. So it's always nice that if you are dealing with someone that is grieving, that you're
Mm-hmm.
understanding and you're sympathetic.
Yeah.
And like I said, even if you don't know what to say, if you don't know what to do, just sit along with them quietly.
Mm-hmm.
Just be there for them,
Yep.
because holidays are definitely triggers.
Definitely.
Yeah. Holidays and birthdays, definitely triggers.
Yep. So, um, what do you think is a big misconception about grief?
Honestly, I think there's a lot, but
Me too.
the number one misconception, in my opinion, is what I've always said: a timeline. People
Mhm.
think that there's a timeline on grief. People think that after the first 6 months or a year, you should be okay. And
Yeah.
and I know people that have lost people 20 years ago, and they still cry like it just happened yesterday.
Facts.
And it's that's to me that's the biggest misconception, because
Yeah.
I guess they haven't personally been through a personal significant loss, so they're
Mhm.
not understanding the emotional roller coaster that grief comes with. And
Right.
honestly, being that's to me that's what it is. Just they put a time limit on it, and there's no time limit on grief. It just
Mhm.
isn't.
So true. So true.
And what do
And
you
if you
think
guys
is?
have any questions or comments, you can definitely put them in the chat. Okay, it's an open discussion.
Yes. So, and what do you think the biggest misconception is?
Um, I wouldn't say the biggest, but I'll say I have a lot. And I'll say the one where they always say it gets easier with time or better with
Oh, that's a
time.
good one. That's a good
I
one.
always say I don't think it ever gets better. I just think you become better, and
You
you
learn to deal with it.
exactly. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like it's
Yeah.
never going to get easier. Like you're always going to want that person back,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they were close to you, but you just learn to live without them. You learn to, navigate,
Right.
because there's nothing you can do. So I don't ever think it gets easier. Like you said, it could be 20 years later. It could be it grief don't even have to hit you right away. It could be years later,
Exactly.
weeks
Exactly.
later, or any little thing like you said is a trigger. So I don't think it ever gets easier. You just learn how to get better, at dealing with it.
In my personal opinion, I honestly I feel the complete opposite when it comes to time. I feel as though time makes it worse, because in my personal opinion and from my personal experience, the longer
Hmm.
I'm going without my brother, the harder it is, because now I know that he's not coming back. So
Yeah.
I honestly believe it's the complete opposite. Time
Hmm.
makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because now it's like it's reality. It's
it's
real.
reality. Every
Yeah.
day that goes by, it's like, okay, this person really isn't coming back. So
Mm-hmm.
so instead of people saying that time heals all wounds, I don't agree. I just feel as though you just learn to deal with it, because you have no choice. It's like fight or
Exactly.
flight. You have no choice. You have to deal with it. You have to cope. You have
Yeah.
no choice. You have to go on. Life goes on regardless.
Facts.
So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah. Where would you say you are in your grief journey today?
Today, I can
Mm-hmm.
proudly say I am at acceptance
Okay.
when it comes to um, my brother. I'm at
Mm-hmm.
acceptance. I have accepted the fact that he's not with. I have accepted the fact that once I get myself together, I'll see him again in the afterlife. I've accepted the fact that um, I know he's here with me spiritually. I've accepted the fact that he's gone.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I'm there now. I finally made
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's so interesting because they always talk about the 5 stages of grief, and
Uh-huh.
acceptance is supposed to be like the final stage. But I feel like for me, it was reversed. I feel like I accepted it the moment it happened because I didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? Me losing my mom at the age of 22, 2 days before my 23rd birthday, I didn't really have time to try to figure out what could I have done different, like
Mhm.
it was just more so like this is now my reality and I have to now figure out how to navigate in life and how to continue to move forward. I literally went from planning a birthday to a funeral, you know what I mean, in a matter of a couple of hours. And so yeah.
I I understand. And that's I would say that's like one of the hardest things.
Mhm.
You're forced to accept it, honestly. You're
Yeah.
you're forced to go straight into um recovery mode. Sometimes you don't have time to actually go through all the
Mhm.
stages. And like you said, the 5 stages.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have to go through the stages in order. And
Mhm.
also we go back sometimes. Sometimes right now,
Exactly.
to like I said, today I'm at stage 5, but I can wake up tomorrow and go back to stage 3.
Yeah.
And I can wake up a month from now and go back to stage 1, and I'm like, this can't denial, and I'm like, this cannot be real. This is not
Yeah.
happening. That's another thing that I notice a lot of people don't understand about grief.
Mhm.
It's really truly a roller coaster. It's up and down. The emotions are always all over the place. You never
Yeah.
can pinpoint how you're gonna feel.
Exactly. That's definitely a misconception.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. And what do you do, or what did you do? I would just say, what do you, like current tense, present
Okay.
tense. What do you do to cope with the loss of your brother?
So I do a lot of different things, honestly, depending on how I'm feeling at the moment. Um,
Okay.
so if if I am in my hometown,
Mhm.
I go to his grave and I sit with him for a while and I talk to him. It just kind of makes me feel as though I'm closer to him.
Mhm.
If I'm not there, I pray. I pray. I go in my closet and I pray and I cry and I let it out and I just pray. Sometimes I listen to music that soothes me, but then
Mhm.
again, sometimes music triggers me. So
Right.
so it's a little tricky. Sometimes it soothes me, sometimes it triggers me.
Yeah.
Um, I still celebrate his birthday as if he was here.
I know that's right.
I still talk to him as he was here. Like if I'm like literally if I'm going through something or if I have to make a decision or if it's just some random things, I'd be like, you know what? And I'll just sit and I'll talk to him. Like, Victor, da 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 da. And
Yeah.
I feel like he's listening. He didn't respond, but he's listening.
Yeah.
Um, I'll go through our pictures.
Mhm.
Sometimes I make his favorite dinner and I eat that.
Okay.
So I do anything that makes me feel like he's here with me.
Yeah.
And so if I have to do anything that he likes to do, if I eat the type of food that he likes, if I'm, like I said, if I'm in my hometown, I go visit him, like anything to make me feel like he's right here. It kind
And
of soothes me and
connected.
makes me feel better. Right.
Mhm.
I'm connected. Right. Yes.
I love that. I love that, especially like the favorite dish.
Yeah.
I never heard
And
nobody
just
say that before.
ironically, it's my son's favorite dish too.
Oh wow.
So it's like, I'll cook it and it's like, okay, your uncle like this too. And he's like, yeah, you keep telling me that.
Right. No, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people don't understand how powerful memories are, and that's why I always tell people, like, life is short, make
Mm-hmm.
memories.
Yeah.
And the best thing that you can do when somebody has gone on before us is to keep them alive, keep doing the traditions, talk like them if it was positive, like
Mm-hmm.
everything that they instilled in you, continue to live it out.
Right.
Always try to think about how would they want you to be. Would they want you to be sad? Would they, like when you got big decisions, what would they do?
Right.
Just keep always keeping them in mind. I find that that's definitely, helpful, and definitely could be, a way to cope as well.
Yes, definitely.
Hmm.
This is how
Yeah.
I feel sometimes. I may wake up and feel sad. Yeah, Miss Darlene, it's just a emotional roller coaster. It never goes away. Your grandson, he's been gone a couple years now, right? How many years? I remember you told me, but I don't remember how many. I know it's been a while.
And while we waiting for her to respond, again, if you guys got any questions, you can drop them in the chat. Um, what does self care look like for you?
So self-care for me is very selfish. And
Okay.
I had to adopt, and honestly, I had to adopt this over the past 2 years. My brother's been dead 3, so over the past 2 years, I had to become very selfish
Mhm.
because, like I said, I'm so used to being the strength. So
Yeah.
self care for me is if I want to lay in the bed all day and do absolutely nothing, then that's exactly what I do. If I want to take the day and go get my hair done, my nails done, a massage, go shopping, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Um, my husband, he can take care of the kids. It's me. It's all
It's
about
right.
me. I
Me
have to
then.
take care of me. So self care for me in a nutshell is selfishness. I'm very selfish when it's time for me to get back to me.
There's nothing wrong with that. You
Yeah.
know, I know people have different forms of self care, but I think the
Mm-hmm.
word self, you
Yes.
know, hence the word self, is definitely supposed to
Exactly.
be about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yes,
good.
Miss Darlene, 6 years. I mean, I'm sure some days you wake up and feel like you just got that phone call that morning. So it's an ongoing battle. It's really a roller coaster ride. It's like going to Six Flags or something.
Right, up and down.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. I don't know if you have any questions for me or not.
I do. I do. I do.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay. So first, where has your grief journey taken you so far?
Good question. Um, I would say it's empowered me to empower other people. It's allowed me to be more empathetic.
Mm.
Um, it's allowed me to understand things that maybe my peers wouldn't understand just because they haven't went through something like this. So I value my time more. You know, I value life more. You know, that's why I said those memories and just understanding that time is precious and you want to use your time wisely. You know what
Yes.
I mean? You don't know when your time is, so why not make the rest of your life the best of your life, you
Oh, I
know?
love that. Uh-huh.
I stole that from somebody. But anyway, um,
It's okay. It's okay.
yeah. Um, outside of that, I would say it's motivated me to start this brand. Can I
Mm-hmm.
grieve? Just because I feel like a lot of my peers have not went through something like this, and anytime I see any of them go through a loss, I just feel obligated to, you know, say something, share some encouragement. And so I just wanted to figure out a way how I can go worldwide and just impact the world in general, just because grief is not a topic that's always talked about. So I would just say my journey itself has kind of made me want to reach more people
Mm-hmm.
because of what I experienced. And just I wouldn't even say the lack of resources, because therapy was suggested to me, a lot of things were suggested to me, but I'm still learning myself about grief, especially because that's the industry and the field that I'm in.
Right.
um but yeah, I just want people to have the education that they need. So I would just say it's motivated me, like I said, to start the brand and just to figure out a way how I can actually help more people.
I love that. I love that. I love it. Okay. So, if you had to pick a stage, what stage would you say you are currently in right now?
I would say acceptance.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and that's where I was in the beginning. Not even acceptance, like okay, move on, but just more so like this is real life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing I can do. So I didn't go through the bargaining stage. What could I have done different? It was nothing I could do. You know, I'm spiritual, so I believe God always has the answer. Like, no matter what we want, it's
Right.
already written, you know?
Yes.
Hi. And
Hey, Coach.
and what's the other stage? Anger. I was angry, you know, but that's in the beginning, as I think it is with anybody that's spiritual. To, you know, it's natural, especially if you're spiritual, to be angry with God.
Yes,
um
definitely.
Depressed, I'm not big. Like I was telling you, I don't want to be sitting in a corner depressed. I don't want to do any of that, but I will have my moment. I will acknowledge my feelings. So I say all that to say acceptance, because at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do, you know. And just I just try to keep those memories alive. I just try to remember the values that was instilled in me. And like I said, I'm just more so focused on other people, and I think that I find healing in helping other people. I think there's power, in our
Yes,
story.
definitely. Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
I'm a firm believer that, we go through things, but it's really not for us. It's really for other people. We just have to be the ones that have to go through it,
That's
unfortunately,
true.
but I believe that, like, every single thing in life is happened the way it's happened because it was supposed to happen,
Yep. Because
and
if you didn't go through it, then you wouldn't feel the need to help others. So
exactly.
I honestly believe that, because I know if it hadn't been for my loss, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to help other people, because
Exactly.
I never been through it, but now that we have, we can use our experience to empower and to help other people.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree with you 100% on that one, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another question I have for you: what generational beliefs have you found to not be true once you experience that your personal loss?
mm, I would say that like when the loss first takes place and then your family is there, and then slowly but surely, and your friends, and then slowly but surely they start like pulling back, or people
Yeah,
go back to
you
their.
mean the Sunday after the funeral?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
disappear.
The same day,
Yeah, after they get
um
full, they leave.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So I think that that whole saying of, like, lean on your family and friends, and I'm not even saying that was the case for me, because it definitely wasn't. It was the opposite. But I'm just saying, naturally when death occurs, unfortunately families go apart. So that's one thing that I would say. What's the other one that I was going to say? Money. Oh my goodness, money.
Mm.
People are going to be around because they want to take. So they'll act like they care, but they really want to take. And it's unfortunate that you have to experience that in those moments. But yeah, it gets interesting. So I wouldn't even say that's like a myth. That's actually true. The things that I'm saying are actually true. I think I'm answering your question the opposite way.
No, it's
Ask me the
fine. It's
question
fine.
again. Yeah.
So, I mean, I totally agree, especially the first one. As
Mm.
far as family and friends, they fade off literally, like either Saturday once they get done eating, or Sunday. They may help you clean up Saturday evening, but Sunday you're left to grieve
Or
alone.
or not to cut you off, I'll say call me if you need me. That one. That one.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they're gonna shoo you off the phone when you call,
Yeah.
because they don't want to hear it. Because
Right.
one, they don't know what to say, or
Mm-hmm.
two, they just don't care.
Right.
Or let's even take it even further and say three, they feel as though you should be over it now because the person is in the ground.
Yeah.
So
So
so yeah,
true.
I do believe that as a community, as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
we need to get better with that.
Yeah.
We need to be better with that. We need to lean on each other more, because especially after you've experienced personal loss.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said earlier, sometimes even if you don't have anything to say, just sit with me. Just,
Yeah.
we can sit in silence, but because I know you're here, because I know that you're here next to me, you care, you're trying, you
Yeah.
want to see me get better. You want to see me heal.
It means the world to people. I had, and this is
Mhm.
another thing, like, I had people to the point where it was like overwhelming. People to the point
Hello.
where it was overwhelming, because I'm like, every day somebody's like, come on, let's go out to eat. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. But I couldn't imagine the opposite, of not having that support. And that's why I say I can't say that was my situation.
Right.
But was something I was going to say. I lost my train of thought.
But true enough, um, a lot of people go through that. A lot of people, hey Trees, a lot of people deal with being alone. A lot of people, they have, once the announcement is made that the loss has happened, they come around, and then as soon as the funeral's over, they're gone. It's
Right.
it's like they move on to the next, or they go on back their life, and then you're stuck. You're left to just
Pick
be
up the pieces.
pick up the pieces, have all these thoughts go through your mind. It's just, you know, sad, but it's true.
Right. And I remember what I was going to say now, and why I feel like it's slipping my brain again, but it's not. So when it comes to something that I had to learn, I didn't understand at first like why some people pulled back, but as I've went on a journey, and I'm pretty sure you figured this out as well, some people just don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
be there for somebody.
Yep.
Even like you said, just them being there and sitting in silence with you, that would mean the world to somebody. But I think because of the way society, does not talk about death, and it's not like a topic,
Mm-hmm.
people don't know how. So I was going to say that's just something that I had to learn and not take personal, because
Right.
I was like, hold on. You the same girl that used to, come over here, eat my food. You know my mom, and you ain't what? But it's something that I had to learn to
Right.
understand that, hey, they may have never even been through something like this. So that's why I was just saying earlier on, like when you asked about the grief journey, where it's taken me, it's allowed me to be more understanding and empathetic, you know, even
Mm-hmm.
though I would be there for somebody. Everybody's just not like that, whether I
Everyone,
had the loss or
everyone
not.
is different,
But,
and another thing with grief is we learn that everyone is different. We
mm-hmm.
we learn that everyone has a different level of emotional. What word can I use? Emotional companion or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but we learn that everyone's level of sympathy is completely different.
I know. I'm looking at the comments. It says, I also at times wanted to be alone, which, right, some people do want their space.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone else said, sometimes people feel inadequate because they don't know what to say or do. So that just goes back to our point.
Yeah,
Some people, they push back because they don't,
they
and
don't.
then
Yeah,
sometimes people probably feel like they want to be alone. They don't want to, be around people. Let me get them their space. And
yeah,
I feel like everybody's different, but I feel like you should still try. Like, I would rather try than not try. I would rather reach out and say, hey, you good? You need anything? As opposed to, let me keep my space. But again, that's something that people, they don't know. And that's why it's up to us to, now that we've been through it, to encourage and empower other people like,
right.
hey, we ain't saying this the only way to do it, but try this.
Try this.
Do this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also I know from experience a lot of people don't know the right words to say.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my mom, she would really blow a gasket fuse or something. Like she would go crazy when someone would say, "Oh, it's okay, he's in a better place." I mean, that would take her from 0 to 1,000.
Real quick.
Like, I mean that, and I used to be like, "Mamas, just chill. It's okay."
Yeah.
Like they're just trying. But
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing. So I believe that a lot of people choose silence because they don't want to say the wrong thing. And
Right.
honestly, when someone's grieving, you don't know what the wrong thing is. Like you can literally
True.
say, "Oh, it'll be better. You'll feel better soon," and that could trigger me
Mm-hmm.
because you can't tell me I'm gonna be better soon because you know I'm not.
Right.
So
So true.
I do believe that that's another reason why people choose to stay silent because they don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to trigger you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
People quick to say,
Yes.
they're in a
Oh my
better
God.
place, or
God
God
knows
knows
best.
best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
That's like the
or
go to.
or God needed them more. Baby, you don't know if I needed
Right.
them or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how
So
you know? Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's that. Like I said, I think that's one of the main reasons people are quiet because they're like, I don't
Yeah.
want to say the wrong thing. I don't want them to fire back off at me.
Yeah.
I don't want to come off as insensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Like when you lose a child and they say, oh, you're young, you can have another.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's a
definitely
trigger.
the wrong thing to say.
Yeah,
What?
that's a trigger. That's inappropriate.
Oh my
That's just,
God.
yeah,
And if
not
someone's
okay.
ever said that to you, I apologize for them because wow,
Right. They just understand that they ain't know what to say.
they definitely didn't know what to say.
Yeah. You can't even take stuff like that personal.
Oh Jesus, I probably wouldn't even call them no more.
Right.
Oh Lordy. Okay, so another question. My last question for you.
Okay.
How did you find the purpose in your pain? How did you find out that, okay, this is what I needed to do. This is what's going to help me grieve. And this is what's going to help me along my journey. This is what I'm meant to do. This is why I had this pain. How did you figure that out?
I think through personal loss, because prior to me losing my mom, I had never lost anybody close to me. Like, I can't
Okay.
name one person. And after that, I lost my grandfather, which I know my mom's, death took a toll on him because she was his only daughter, and
Oh,
he never
wow.
kind of got over it. So I think that kind of,
Of
didn't
course.
really
Yeah.
help. And then after that, in 2021, I had lost my cousin. And so I think with my personal loss plus the pandemic and just kind of seeing people grieve, because a lot of times people think grief is just death, but it's not. It's loss in general, loss of
Hmm.
finances.
Yes. Yes.
Let's say you can't have kids, it's infertility, it's, just different
Hmm.
things. Like, it's not just
Friendships. It's
death.
not just death. Correct.
Yeah. And so I think with just kind of just seeing how life was going and just how my life was going, it was going great, but I wanted it to be better and I want other people's lives to be better. And so honestly, I could say God, he's the one that gave me the vision. I didn't come up with it myself, it was just kind of like, I feel like it was already written. Like, I'm a firm
Of course.
believer
Hmm.
that our life is already written. So I just think one day out of the blue, Can I Grieve just popped up. I never thought I was going to be speaking to people about grief. I was in a whole different field doing something different,
Right.
but I believe that, it was meant for me to go through what I went through so that I can empower other people. So I think that's me turning my pain into a testimony. And I
Mm.
always say, or people always say, you don't look like what you've been through. And that's nothing but God.
Of course.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yes. Yes.
nothing but God.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any more questions for us, or any comments or anything?
Right. You're doing good on time too.
Yeah, I see
Not
that.
that it's ever a time, restriction or whatever, but if anybody has any feedback, any comments, give us some heart, some love. If y'all enjoyed the live, definitely want to post this as soon as it's finished so you guys can send it to somebody or,
Yeah.
repost it. If nobody has any more feedback, definitely make sure you follow my girl, the Mature Coach. Right?
Hmm.
That's the name, right?
Yes.
All right, okay. I had to make sure. All right,
And
make
y'all
sure you
definitely go
follow
get
her.
y'all some Can I Grieve apparel. I love it.
Yes,
I gotta
ma'am.
order
We didn't
that
even talk
sweatshirt.
about that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. We have time. Go ahead.
Okay. So yes, if you guys go to my page, Can I Grieve, you guys will see some of the merchandise that I have. As far as clothing, I also do care packages, and I also speak to the youth about grief as well. So if you're in the DMV area, plug your girl in. And that's about it for now. What about you? Because you got some stuff too. I went on your website, like, oh,
Oh,
okay,
oh.
come
So
on,
if you
come
guys go click the link in my bio, I was gonna say about grief. If you guys go click the link in my bio, I offer a 1 hour release to restore chat. I talk with you about your grief, what you're going through, the stages of grief that you're in, what to expect in the other stages, just to give you a little clarity on whatever it is that you're going through dealing with grief. And like as she said before, not just the loss of a person. It could be finance, it can be
on. Hmm.
employment, it can be a friendship. And not to go off subject, but a friendship loss is just as hard as a relationship loss. A
Hmm.
lot of people don't understand that, because think about it, our friends are who we tell our deep dark secrets to. Our friends are who we're
Right.
closest with. So don't think that grief is only boxed into death, because it's not. Also, I have a grief planner. I mean,
Hmm.
not planner, I'm sorry, grief workbook. And I also have a grief journal. Now, the journal comes, you can use the journal when you don't want to talk to someone, or if you don't have anyone to talk to. You can use it as a diary. It's a place for you to put pictures in. It's a few scriptures in there. It's a few motivational quotes in there. It's perfect for anyone that's going through grief. The workbook, it actually helps you break down each stage of grief and work through each stage. And at the end, I like to do a goodbye letter. So it actually has a outline for you to set up your goodbye letter, and also a space to create and write the goodbye letter.
That's awesome.
Yep, and I also have a 6-week grief course where I send you out a workbook and we work through it together.
Come
So
on,
if
link in the
anyone,
bio.
yep. So if anyone is interested, just click the link in my bio and we can get started.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate it,
Yes,
and
this
thank
is
you for doing this
wonderful.
live with me.
Of course, I really enjoyed it, and thanks everyone for tuning in and all the feedback we're getting. It's just
Yes,
amazing. Thank you all so much for the support.
we appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, well, I'm going to post
Okay.
this live immediately. So
Yes,
make sure
ma'am.
you guys share this live with somebody who needs it, who you don't even know needs it. And
Mhm.
yeah, I look forward to doing more lives with you and
Of
doing more
course.
lives in general.
Yes, ma'am. So until next time, see everyone later.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.